Thank you so much, team. Yes, we will be back in the kitchen in just a moment, but right now, a vitally important conversation, especially for new parents or expecting parents. Sleep plays a crucial role in regulating mood and emotions. We learn that every day on this show. Promoting a calmer and more content baby in particular, and I think as a byproduct, the parent as well. Now, certified good night sleep consultant Yanel Basson is here to share her incredible insights into sleep hacks for babies to make that transition that much smoother. And we all say this all with a pinch of salt, Yanel, because we know every parent, every baby, every journey is different. But very good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Graham.
I suppose we've got to start with a true north, because there will be quite nuanced with each child. Is going to be different. Every child comes with their own challenges and their own amazing things that they do that no other baby does, which is great. The principles of good sleep. What should that look like as a starting point for the journey?
I always say to parents that sleep is like building a house.
Yes.
So when you want to create the best possible sleep for your baby, we need to look at the foundation of this house.
I love that.
So we start with the basics, nutrition. You want to make sure that the nutrition is in place and of course that it's age appropriate. We want to make sure that the day routine is in place, making sure that your baby's got more or less 11 to 12 hours of nighttime sleep, and then of course the right amount of daytime sleep, and the naps happening at the right time, because an overtired child is your worst enemy.
Yo, man. Well, just like us, we know what we feel like when we're overtired. So
Yeah.
imagine not having any ability to process what you're feeling and then plug
and
that
you've got
in.
no
Yeah.
control, because the parents are
Exactly.
in control of what's happening.
Sure.
And then we look at the bedtime routine, what's happening during the last half an hour leading up to sleep,
Okay.
and of course the sleep environment as well. It sounds like a minor thing, but sometimes that can play a big role in how this baby sleeps.
Temperature, for instance, is a massive thing. I'm learning it with my kids who kind of don't feel the cold like we do, but it is a big thing. I know, again, I reiterate that every child is slightly different, but
Yes.
we want to kind of have a rhythm. So what should that rhythm look like as we move through the critical phases? Let's start with newborn Bubba not doing much,
Yeah.
while you are doing everything, okay? And I get that. But as we move through the phases of baby into the young kind of toddler space, what should that sleep rhythm look like?
So let's start with the newborns. With a newborn, there's kind of nothing's right or wrong. There's no pattern.
Play it
You
as it
just need
lies,
to-
yeah.
Exactly. You just need to survive and get through it. But basically, babies, they sleep, they feed, they sleep, they feed for the first couple of weeks. And then from around about 3 months old up until preschool age, children need roughly 11 to 12 hours of nighttime sleep. Okay, all of them. But the difference is when they're newborns or just out of the newborn phase, let's say 3 to 4 months,
Okay.
they still need about 4 or 5 naps a day. And then as they grow older, the naps, they start dropping their naps. So they need the same amount of nighttime sleep, but less daytime sleep. So roughly around 6 months, they only need 3 naps. And roughly around 9 months, they only need 2. And then between 12 and 16 months, they drop from 2 naps to 1 nap a day. And then it can be a nice long nap. And then roughly around 2.5 years old, you can see the nap is causing issues with bedtime. They're not that tired anymore. And you need to start
Like a
cutting.
credit system that you're
Yes,
constantly
you need to start
borrowing and-
cutting back on the nap a little until the very sad day when you say goodbye to that nap.
And your nap that you are hopefully taking while they have a little. And there's no shame in a nap, eh? There's no shame in a grown-up nap. I'm going to just put that out there. Just before we move on to those factors that can contribute, this says to me that routine is vitally important, because you're not going to fully know when those phases are kind of coming in and coming out in terms of them needing less daytime sleep.
Yeah.
Generally, we find out when they're tired, and then it's a little bit too late,
Too
to
late.
preempt. You're like, oh, someone needs a nap.
Sure.
Is there a way that we can preempt that, or is it just about saying, okay, we're going to, for this period, stick to this many naps at this time, and then when we feel a shift, we're going to bring it down? How would you approach that transition?
Well, we've got a bit of a guideline and we call it awake times.
Awake times.
Awake times. That basically just means how long your baby is awake for before it's time to sleep again.
Okay.
And the awake time is directly linked to a baby's stamina. So when they are, let's say, they're newborn, they've got about 45 minutes that they can be awake for. So that
Go. Boom.
That basically means waking up, feeding, changing the nappy, and getting your baby to sleep. And as they grow older, every month you add about 15 minutes. Again, it's a guideline. But so roughly around 4 months, they can be awake for 1:45. Roughly around 6 months, 2.5 hours. 8 months, 3 hours, and you increase it every month. So that gives you a good idea.
A nice sliding scale,
yes.
if you will.
And they need about a roughly 12-hour day, 12-hour night. So if you start your day between 6 and 7 in the morning, and bedtime is between 6 and 7 in the evening, and you keep to your awake times, it will play out the way it should.
I like that, and within a reasonable space.
Yes,
I love
of course.
And I know it can be challenging when you do miss those kind of opportunities, but you start to get to know your little one and kind of what their buttons are.
Definitely.
I have a bath if I need to put myself to sleep. It's just something about that just relaxes me.
Yeah.
Is that the button for kids? Because it's always been a part of, like most of the law that comes down from our mothers and our grandmothers and grandfathers, is a bath before bedtime sorted.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the things. And research has shown that when you take a bath and the cold air on the body, when you undress into the warm water and out again, it simulates the difference between day and night, the cool air and then the warmth. And that triggers melatonin production, the sleep hormone. And roughly about half an hour later, that melatonin is nice and high. It gives you a little bit of a spike. And that's when you want to get into bed, because the melatonin will help you become drowsy.
And then you're happy. I think there is nothing cuter, and you can go onto Instagram and be lost for about 3 hours with watching baby massages.
Oh, yes.
There's something incredible about the tactile connection with a baby, and it's as important for the mom and the dad to have that as well.
Yeah.
So if you will, I noticed that we have brought along a very willing and able participant, a guest with us.
Yes.
Can we bring him out?
Sure, we can. This is our little baby.
Do they have a name?
No, actually not.
I'm surprised that's the first time you've been asked this question. When we look at, because even this just brings to bear how tiny and delicate your newborn baby is.
Yeah.
And granted, they're quite rubbery, okay, with good reason. They're quite elastic in that sense. But how do we approach then massaging our baby to get them, and maybe not even just for sleep time, but for that connection to get them relaxed? How do we approach it?
Are you talking about massaging
Massage in
specifically?
particular, yeah.
Okay. So the whole idea is just that it's not about the massage, it's about the deep pressure. Yeah. Because remember, especially in the beginning when they're newborns, babies were in the womb and there's a lot of pressure, deep pressure that they feel. So when they come out of the womb, the first 3 months especially, you want to recreate as much of that familiar situation as you can. So the deep pressure from the massage helps relax them.
And that cues the swaddle. Okay, so this is something where I think you either can or you can't. And often it'll be split between the parent who can do it and the parent who can't. And I was lucky that I could do it, which I enjoyed. But maybe you can take us through that and give us a bit of a live demonstration, because I know a lot of parents struggle, and it's the ultimate baby hack. For me, it certainly was with both of my kids.
So just before I show you how it's done, just to know that the swaddle also, it recreates that deep pressure that the baby feels in the womb. And it helps them feel secure, but also it helps you put down your baby, because you get them to fall asleep in your arms and now you can't get them off you. And especially,
another hack, yeah.
Yes, and especially in the first 3 months of a baby's life, they still have the Moro reflex, the startle reflex. So the moment you move them away into the cot, they wake up and they're startled to wake up. So this is a hack for trying to avoid that.
When you can hand them over. Okay, show us how it's done.
Okay, so I don't have the perfect blanket for that, but you don't need it. Usually a square blanket works best, but this is not the square. Am I allowed to stand up a little?
Yes, go for it, go for it.
Right, so you can see my blanket is not square, but I will just fold it a little so it is closer to what I want.
Okay.
Yes. And then I'll put it down with a corner facing upwards. Okay. And then I'll take down the corner just a little, so you've got a nice edge over here. All right. So you still have your square, one corner folded up.
Cool.
Now I'll take my baby and place her with this edge aligning with her neck. Okay, and now you're starting with your swaddle. The idea is just nice and tight, the arms down, so especially in the beginning, so they don't wiggle themselves
And it's not
out
restrictive,
of
they
it.
want that. They
No,
need
they
that kind
want
of pressure.
that. And
sure.
you can always use a nice stretch material as well, so they can move around a little bit more. But cotton is best because you don't want overheating.
For sure, it's very breathable.
Yes, it's a safety risk for babies, for SIDS. So now you take one of your sides and you bring it over your baby, nice and tight. And now you fold it underneath the baby's body so they don't wiggle out of it. And now you take the bottom part and you fold it up, all right? And you tug it in.
It's a little burrito.
Yes, that's a very nice description. And then you take the other side and you fold it over. You can see it's a nice and tight fold, just not over the face. And you put your baby down on top of that.
There we have it.
And then very important as well, when your baby is nice and swaddled and you're trying to get your baby into the cot, just make sure that you always place your baby feet down first, then the bottom and the head last, and not this way.
That response.
Yes, exactly.
And it really is a hair trigger. Oh, I wish I could keep you around all the time. In fact, well, people can actually keep you around all the time because you do offer your services professionally. So we're going to keep those details up. Thank you so much. Some absolute gems. I wish I could go back and do things slightly differently. But don't worry. If you're a parent right now, you have a community around you ready to share this kind of knowledge and people like Yanel there with the critical information. So hopefully you've unlocked some very important knowledge through this, just like us. Now time to optimize your baby's sleep in accordance with their needs and yours as well, because you do matter as well. Yanel, thank you so much.
Thanks, Graham.